Hi, welcome to Sonder Sisterhood. I'm Carrie, and this is a YouTube channel for the single and childless, not by choice person. Our video today are some end of the year journaling questions for you to reflect on and think about as we move into this next year. Now, we can reset and change ourselves or improve ourselves any time of the year. We don't need the new year to do that. And there is something about the turnover of the calendar that does kind of get that motivation going and get us to look at things and reflect on things in a different way. So, if these are the types of things that you enjoy doing and you love the idea of having a reset or a renewal, or you love the idea of this past year being in the past and having this clean slate ahead of you, then this video is for you. So, here are some things to reflect on and journal about as you start to put together what your intentions are for this next new year. So, write these down so then you can take a look at these and spend some time journaling about these at your convenience when the time is right for you. Remember, when you're journaling, sometimes it can be really nice to kind of set the vibe, right? Maybe you light a candle, you get your favorite pen, you buy a journal that has really nice paper that can sometimes motivate us to write in it. Maybe it has a really motivating kind of quote on the front of it, something that feels special and something that's going to motivate you to take up this practice. So, the best thing about journaling, too, is that you get to do it as little or as much as you want, and it doesn't need to be a really sophisticated writing. The punctuation doesn't have to be there. It doesn't really have to make sense for anybody but you. You can just open the page and write and not think about what it sounds like. So let's get to the questions. The first question that I want you to think about is, what are 3 things you did to help yourself this past year? You did more than 3 things. No matter what you're thinking in your head, you absolutely did things to help yourself cope, to help yourself get through those hard times. And I want you to intentionally sit and reflect on what those things were. Come up with 3. There's definitely 3 for you to come up with. Number 2, what are 3 things that you did that you're proud of yourself about? Again, no matter what your year looked like, there are 3 things minimum that you did that when you reflect back on those, you feel good about yourself. Now, for some of us, we have this type of mindset where we're not thinking about those things. We don't let those things sit in our brain. We don't let the things we're proud about take up brain space. And this is exactly why we need to journal about them. Because I bet if I asked you 3 things that you wish you hadn't done, you'd be able to come up with those lickety split. That's why this is a really important exercise. So reflect back on your year, and I want you to think about 3 things that you're proud about that you did. Number 3, what do you want to prioritize in this next year? For example, for me, I want to prioritize fun in a way that I haven't in a really long time. Grief, struggle, worry, anxiety, all of those things can really get in the way of some fun, right? We feel like we need to do all the right things in order to kind of keep ourselves glued together, but fun is just as important to make sure that you're building a life that you can feel good about. Again, it's okay to prioritize fun. We think about prioritizing like finances, responsibilities, things like that. It's okay to prioritize fun, especially if you're somebody who's been through a lot of grief. If you're single and childless, not by choice, right? You are probably kind of feeling a little bit judged sometimes about your lifestyle, worried, scared, fear, all of those things. It's okay to prioritize fun. Number 5, what are some things that you can do to help yourself mentally through the grief times, right? So we know that grief is not kind of a straight line, right? It ebbs and flows. It's like waves that can kind of hit us out of the blue sometimes. So even if you're doing really well in your grief, it doesn't mean you're not going to have those griefy times come up. And again, just as a reminder, just because you feel like you've gotten toward the other side of grief, if that's the case, it doesn't mean that you don't get to feel grief in the future. Once you sort of feel like you're moving forward or you've hit acceptance, it doesn't mean that you no longer get to feel grief. You will feel grief. So, what are some things that you can do and think ahead around that you can do to help yourself, right? So, maybe it's join some type of community group. Sandra Sisterhood has groups. Maybe it's see a therapist. Maybe it's journaling more frequently. Maybe it's engaging in some type of exercise or body movement. So, those are some things for you to think about. What are some things you can do to manage the grief when it comes, not if it comes, but when it comes? And then the last thing to think about is, what is one thing you can do per week, per month, or per year that you find joy in or find especially fun? So this kind of goes back to putting some fun back into your life. For those of us who have gone through these real depths of grief, we forget about the fun. We may not even remember what was fun for us. So you might have to try some different things and see what those things are. Again, remember to interject some fun into your life as well as all of the different responsibilities, particularly if you're single, right? All of these kind of responsibilities kind of fall on one person. Fun doesn't have to be really expensive. We know about the singles tax, right? So think of things that you like to do for fun. Just brainstorm them and then decide, well, here's one thing I can do every week, here's one thing I can do every month, and one thing I can do every year. And sort of the planning and maybe even the expense of it sort of grows depending on the infrequency with which you do it. So let me know some other journaling questions that help you in the comments below. And remember, continue to watch Sandra's Sisterhood for videos for the single and childless, not by choice person.